Welcome to Avast eForms Wizard. My name is Suzanne, and today I am going to take you through the process of working with a new or an existing client within the solution. First of all, you should think of Avast eForms Wizard as your electronic client folder for all of your Accord applications and supplements. So whenever you're beginning to work with a potential new client, you would start off by creating this electronic folder of Accord applications and supplements that are relevant to those products that you want to present that client with. So we're going to begin by launching Avast eForms Wizard. And when you launch Avast eForms Wizard, you will be immediately taken to the File menu option where you can work with a new client, open an existing client, select and add forms to an existing or a new client application, or import a client application folder to work with. Those are the things that we are going to focus on in today's tutorial. So let's begin by starting off with a new client application. Select the icon and you'll be presented with a screen that will take you either to the ability to work with a commercial application or set of applications for a commercial client, or a personal client on which you can select application forms and supplements to begin to put together an electronic folder for that client. At any point in time, when you're working with a new client, you'll also be presented with the option to choose from a package. These packages come shipped with the application, as well as you can add your own, which we will show in another tutorial. These packages are a collection of applications and supplements related to that specific line of business for which you want to talk to your prospective client about. So if you click on the personal client application folder, as if you're going to start working with a personal lines client, you would be presented with packages that range from those including just auto as a line of business, perhaps auto, home, marine, as well as an umbrella policy, and so forth. There's lots of different configurations that we've presented here for you. We're going to go ahead and start by working with a commercial lines client. So I've selected the commercial lines option up here at the top, and I'm prompted with a number of questions to start the application folder. Let's go ahead and put in our client information name. And select the company type that you're working with. Put in your contact information. Any unit number. And of course a phone number, as well as a fax number, and of course the email address for your contact. Once you've completed adding all of the necessary information and you can tell that the required fields are identified with an asterisk, you're then ready to go ahead and create your client application folder by hitting the Create button here on the screen. However, before I do that, I can select from one or many packages so that it can automatically, or I will automatically be presented with a number of applications and supplements to begin the process. I'm going to go ahead and select the construction package, and again I could select multiple packages if I wanted to, or not, and then hit the Create button. It's now going to prompt me to give it a unique file name. As you might imagine, during the course of working with a number of clients, you're going to be doing or quoting hopefully multiple lines of business over the course of several years, as well as managing renewals. So I always recommend to give this client folder name a unique name, perhaps with the company name as well as with the effective date of the policy for which you're quoting. we hope that the effective date for this particular quote will be on the 1st of the year. So I've put the date as part of the folder name and click Create. It's now creating this folder complete with all of the applications and supplements relevant to the construction package that I selected. Now, just some navigational tips at any point in time. If I want, I can click on a particular application by clicking on this tab at the top. I can also close it so that I won't see the application, but it still keeps it in the client application folder. I can at any point in time select one of these page icons at the top to go through the relevant pages for a given application. And of course, I can scroll down and be presented with the bottom of the application, as well as scroll back up for any given page. You can also see here at the bottom of my menu, I can click the left arrow key or the right arrow key to be taken to subsequent pages within the application that I'm looking at. Or I can hit the arrow that goes all the way back to the first page or to the last page correspondingly. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove some of these forms that I do not need for this particular client. So to do so, just click on this little hamburger menu and remove a given form. I'm going to remove the property section because that's the application that I actually have open right now. So I'm going to remove this form, and it warns me that I'm removing it permanently, and is that okay? Yes, it is. I'm also going to remove the form called Statement of Values in a similar fashion. I do want to keep my workman's comp paperwork and my umbrella policy, as well as my builder's risk. To scroll over or back to see if there's any other forms, simply click on the arrows at the top of the page. And I notice that I also have a vacant building supplement for which I also want to remove from this application form set. I'm now ready to begin filling out my application. Some other navigational tips. If you go ahead and you zoom in on the form, you'll be able to do so by clicking Zoom In or Zoom Out. However, at any point in time, you can also zoom in and out by holding down your Control plus key or your Control minus key. Again, under this menu option, I can also put my application at full width of my screen in order to take advantage of the full real estate that I have in front of me. It's a little easier to view as well. And then, of course, if I want, I can restore it to the actual size once again. I can print this given form that I'm on at any point in time by clicking the Print Form option as well. I will later show you other ways to print a single application, selected applications, or all applications and supplements in the entire application folder. And finally, you'll notice that there is a little padlock icon over here. Once I'm done completing all the information on the form and I have submitted it to carriers or wholesalers or brokers for which they can give me a quote on, I can hit this little icon and lock the actual form as a way to convey that it's been submitted and no one should edit that form at any point in time because it's considered final. I can also click this key to unlock it and to begin working with it again. The locking mechanism does allow a user to lock and unlock the form at will, so it's more of a communication tool to let people know that the form has been submitted and should not be edited going forward. So again, let's go back and begin filling out our form. It all starts with the insurance supplement information, and you can see here that Wave Financial Partners, our agency information, has been auto-populated because under the setup, agency information, Wave is set up as our default agency. Let's go back to our client by clicking on the actual arrow here that says Return to Client. It's a quick way to get back to where you started. You can see that at any point in time, I can tab through the form And I can begin to fill out the information that's being requested, such as the carrier if I choose to. I'm going to leave it blank in my case because I'm going to submit this to multiple carriers, but I can also list my named insured. So my named insured here happens to be the same as the company name that I originally completed when I filled out the basic client information. Notice that once I complete this information on the client application insured name field, that field will actually populate to other forms within the application set. So if I click on other places where that same information is being requested, it's been auto-populated for me so I don't have to key it in again a second time. I'll demonstrate that again with your date information at the top. Now you'll notice that anytime I select a different supplement or application, it's populated with the same date. That is the real value proposition of Avast eForms Wizard, being able to key the information one time and have it populate to other areas of your form or set of forms within the client application folder. Now let's go ahead and move on. At any point in time, I can also open an existing customer by clicking the Open Existing Client icon. I'll then be presented with a dialog box, and it will give me a list of those clients that I have that are categorized as personal lines clients or those that are categorized as commercial lines clients. I also have the ability to search for client, given if this list was an extensive list, I should say, and you can actually search by a number of different parameters. Since I only have a couple client applications in here, I can just go ahead and select the one that I want and click Open. It will now open that client application and I can begin the process of working with those forms. This just happens to be a client called Xavier Legal Services, and you can see that I am now able to resume the process of completing this application. From time to time, you might record information in a given field that's considered invalid, and I have it set up as to highlight those fields in yellow if it's invalid value in that field. So you can see the date information here on the form I'm in is now pink because that's my focus field color. But if I tab out, it's going to go to yellow because that's its way of conveying to me as the user that the information is not complete or has been recorded as an invalid value. So I'm going to change the date so it's valid, and of course the field now goes to the normal color, which is a non-highlighted field. At any point in time, I can add forms to an existing client application, or I can create a client from scratch without using any packages and add my forms one at a time. Simply by selecting the Select Form icon, I can search for forms that I want by a number of different criteria. Remember that there is over 800 plus ACORD forms in this application. As a result, it becomes very, very handy and convenient to be able to search by a number of different parameters. So I can search by the type of form, such as is a loss notice type form, is it a commercial form, and so forth. I can also search by lines of business or by a given state. If I want to see state-specific type forms, I can do so. At any point in time, I can remove my filters and start from scratch. And I can come into the search by field and just begin to type in information, and it will filter my list by those forms that begin or have the information that I'm typing someplace in the form name or in any of the other criteria that you see here for which we're categorizing forms. So I could just simply come down here and start typing information such as a form 80, or I can tell it that I want to search specifically by a form name, and again type in the form name and have it filter the list and begin to bring back to me those forms that meet that criteria. So here is a surety report that I want to go ahead and add to this form set. So I select it and I click Open, and it will add the surety form to this particular application set. Well, let's go back one more time to select forms, and let me show you how you can select multiple forms. So in addition to the surety form, 501, I want 502. So I'm going to select that, which is the bond request form. And then also I want form 503. Now you can see that it tells me I've selected two forms at the bottom, but I can remove my filters and I can select this column and I'll bring those two to the top so I can validate that those two forms are indeed the ones I selected. I can also identify specific forms as favorites if I want a quick way to get to the forms that I have within the 800 plus that are in the library in a quick manner. Simply remove your filters, click on star, and all my forms that are marked as favorites come to the top. Now we can sort by the ones I selected and go ahead and add those two to my application set. Finally, from time to time, you may want to pass a particular client folder between producers in your office. To do so, you'll be able to share a client application folder, which I'm going to show you in just a few minutes in another tutorial. But let's assume for a moment that someone has already shared one with you and you want to go ahead and import that client folder and begin working on it. Simply select Import Client Folder, select the client name, open, and eForms Wizard will open that client for you. It will first ask you to select the agency for which you want to use and also the producer to associate with that given client folder. And your folder will be opened. That concludes working with a client application folder when you're creating a new client from scratch, working with an existing one, or importing one that someone else has shared with you. Of course, at any point in time, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at technical support at 1-800-204-0704 or email us at support@avast.com. Again, our phone number is 1-800-204-0704.